Hello friends, welcome back to RPGamers, the Retrospective Gamers, where we talk about games retrospectively. And I'm joined with my co-host Broderick again, who has his puppy dog Scout with him. David is on standby, you'll probably see him in a little bit later. But so we have a fun, hot topic today about our video game hot takes, where we're going to talk about some of our video game controversies or video game unpopular opinions and stuff like that. I think these are things that I think about on the daily while I'm at work or while I'm commuting or while I'm doing my everyday things. And that's a big part of it. And there's a couple that sparked this for me to bring this up. So we'll see. We'll have fun with it. Maybe you'll agree. Maybe you'll disagree. We'll see. For now, Broderick, why don't you tell us what you've been playing this past
halfway through Empire Strikes Back. Think I might have finished that one. I don't know. It's been a few days since I played that.
Did you start with the prequels or did you go to the originals?
I started with the prequels. I'm just doing it in numerical order.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But no, it's really fun. It's a very different take on the Lego games, but I'm really enjoying it. One of the things I really like so far are the boss battles, I guess is what you can call them. Like when you fight some like the major characters from the episodes, and how you kind of go into that like kind of third person, like over the shoulder view with like the Jedi or whoever it is you're playing as, and you kind of fight like that. That's a really cool thing that they did now.
Oh yeah.
And also a lot like I'm having a lot of fun with like the dialogue and a lot of like the characters, the things they say, because they reference like a lot of things from the movies, and then just like a lot of like just memes and other stuff throughout it, and it's just so fun.
Oh yeah, for sure, the memes.
But yeah, there's just been a couple where like as soon as it came out, I was just sitting there laughing so hard, and it was just like kind of one of those, I can't believe they actually went there with that.
Yeah.
Because I think pretty much all throughout like episode 1 and 2, they just make fun of like Anakin with the sand any chance they get.
Oh yeah, no, there's more of it too later on.
Yeah,
there's more of it. There's a lot more of it.
Yeah, they just go after any character that they can make a joke about. It's so fun. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all I've been getting into this week.
Oh yeah, it's been a blast for sure. That's cool. That's cool. I mean, for me, the most part, it's only been the Lego Skywalker game too. I'm way past that story mode stuff. I am 75% the way through to 100% the whole game, so I'm getting really close. I still have a lot to do though, like a lot to do. But I just been going through each planet, just clearing them out, and I have, like I said, 75%. It says 75% done. I feel like I have more to do, but it could just be a little different. And then more news on that is they finally released all of the character packs. So I don't know if you got like the standard or the deluxe, or if you got like the all the character packs basically.
I got the deluxe one.
You did?
Yeah, just because I wanted like the Mandalorian characters and all that.
Yeah, they finally added everything. They added all of them, so I have them all now, which is awesome. Let me see if I can switch it, if it'll let me switch. I don't think it will. No, my thing's acting up. Oh well, that's a shame. I was going to show off Ahsoka, because I got Ahsoka, and she has been the character. She's a very unique character. She actually has like lightsaber designs for her handles, whereas everyone just has like the base like Lego handle. She has like actual designed lightsaber handles, and I thought that was really cool. And to my knowledge, she's the only character that can dual wield lightsabers, and she holds them backwards, and she is just insane. Her combos are insane. I think she's like a very unique thing. I thought that was really cool they did that. I thought Ayla Secura, because I just got her, was gonna have dual lightsabers. I was like, oh, they're just reskinning her, which is cool. But no, it is not a reskin. She does not have the dual lightsabers like she's known to have, which is an interesting decision. But I mean, it's been just fun. I almost have all the Jedi unlocked actually. Who's this goober? Who's this long neck? I got Yaddle, which I think that's cool that they added her in the game because she is not
Yeah.
in really anything. Bo-Katana is under the hero category. She's not under the bounty hunter category, and I don't know how I feel about that, but
It's interesting.
yeah, bounty hunters are the goats of this game. Honestly, they are especially when you get their theme leveled up all the way. I leveled up their the bounty hunter like skill tree. That's the only one I have at 100% besides the core ones, the core upgrades. Just because the bounty hunter is just they're broken. They are absolutely broken. They do they have a skill where their one shot spreads like 4 ways, so it shoots 4 different shots. And if you play as Jango Fett, he dual wields his guns, and because he's a bounty hunter, it's 8 shots, and he just melts everything like in a couple seconds. All bosses, everything. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. And then I think let me see, where is it? I am 500 million away from getting the 10 billion trophy for stud. So I've been grinding on it, but it's been a lot of fun. How did this happen to your bottle, dude? What the heck?
It's like all like deflated.
Yeah.
Or pushed in.
There you go. You gotta use the blanket to prop it up so I don't have to hold it. Because you don't know how to hold stuff yet. You're being lazy. Okay, but so yeah, that's all I've been playing mostly. I've been kind of getting more attached to my PC lately, to be honest. I started a playthrough of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion on my PC, and then I started playing a couple matches of CS:GO. Like I play at least I've been playing at least 2 matches a day. Nothing crazy. Mm-hmm. And then I started a new character on Sims 4. Because I got more expansions for my fiance. My fiance is the one that plays it all the time. She's the only one that really plays it. And then I saw this expansion that I wanted to try, and it's been a ton of fun. And it's really pulled me back into the Sims 4 game. But otherwise, I mean, mostly it's just been the Lego Star Wars. That's if I ever get like a chance to play anyway. But I'm really close to getting the. I'm halfway through to get to the plat. And yeah, this game is absolutely stellar. It's amazing. It's really, really fun. So that's pretty much all I've been playing. Nothing crazy. Hey dude, you gotta hold that.
Okay.
So, ooh. There you go, bud. Okay. And I don't know. I think that there are some things I like about the game and some things I don't. In terms of for the bosses, that third person over the shoulder kind of action oriented gameplay for the bosses is cool, but on free play when you're trying to collect the stuff, you can't play as a Jedi because you have to. If you play as a Jedi and let's say you're fighting Darth Maul, it automatically puts you in that third person over the shoulder view. Mm-hmm. So I can't run around to get the collectibles in the missions, and that gets frustrating. But again, with free play, I would just swap to the other character and switch the person to like a bounty hunter or a hero or something, whatever I needed, and then I would continue the level because they're not subjected to that over the shoulder combat. It's really just the Jedi and the Sith. So that's been kind of like a hassle. It's been a hassle, but nothing that's really hurt the game. As far as like which ones I like the most, I think Empire is really good. I think Empire and The Last Jedi are my top ones just because they're so much fun from start to finish. And then playing the story and everything. Attack of Clones is my least favorite. I don't know what they did to that. And then Phantom Menace is also down there for me. It's just like I don't understand. Another one too, which might be a hot take, is The Return of the Jedi. That's also very low for me. They dropped the ball on that one. It is not as fun or climactic as it could have been.
Okay, yeah, because normally when I play it, like I'll hop on and I'll play just like one episode from start to finish and then kind of just call it a day on it. But I'll probably do that with Return of the Jedi and see what happens.
I just think the final act just sucked in
Mm.
comparison to like even the older Lego games and what they were doing with it. I think the and I said it in the last episode that we just recorded, that Kylo Ren and Rey do this swap back and forth thing. Um, and even on free play, you're not allowed to like switch characters. And I'm just like, that's so cool that they kept that. Like, I just love that aspect of it where you play as one character fighting the red soldiers, and then you kill one, it swaps you over to Kylo, vice versa swaps you over to Rey.
Right.
And I just love that. It's so unique and it's so cool. And even in free play mode, like I said, you can't swap like a different character out because it really doesn't matter. You have to play as a Jedi regardless. And I just love that they kept that in there. Um, and then I'll always say that, you know, Rise of Skywalker, whereas the movie, you know, isn't highly regarded, at least from for most people and for me, but it is amazing in the game. It's not like super high. Like I think Last Jedi and Empire, New Hope are my top three for sure. And then, you know, it's really cool. Even Revenge of the Sith, I don't know what the hell happened. I was just like they dropped the ball comparison to like from the very first game and how they handled the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight to this.
Yeah.
It's like what the hell happened? It's just like it looks better, sure, and it's funner to play because of the combat. But I just think that the original just did so much more for it, and I thought it was just like what happened here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is what it is. I think the game is really good. I think it's really fun. There's a lot of busy work, and that's something I'm not a huge fan of. You know, like over 1,000 Kyber bricks to collect. It never used to be that much on like collectibles.
As soon as I saw that, it was just like, oh man,
it used to be like
gonna be a long ride.
It used to be like 250 for the gold bricks. Granted, you get the Kyber bricks like you get moons in Mario Odyssey. You get them like every second, you know. So, and I like that they're actually used to do something. They're not just there just to be collected. They're actually used to like unlock stuff and upgrade stuff, and that's the really neat thing about it. But I mean, that's just I guess my take on it. There are some things where I question it, but I also have to keep in mind that they are doing all 9 films, so some films aren't gonna get the love they deserve. Whereas like in the previous Lego Star Wars games, you know, those are like my gaming, that's like gaming royalty to me. Where Lego Star Wars, the original one where it was just episode 1, 2, and 3 was the first game I ever 100% completed as a kid. And I played that thing, like I bled that thing dry, and it was one of the only few games me and my sister would play every single day. Like we constantly played Lego Star Wars because it was just so much fun. She wasn't into the original trilogy when that came out, when they did 4, 5, and 6. I wasn't that much into it either. I just much preferred the prequels at the time, because the game was just on a whole different level, and I was just so enthralled with it. But you know, that's why I kind of have to this one tamper my expectations of like, oh, I'm expecting them to go crazy like they did in the original one, but they have 9 movies to go through, and that's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of story to tell. It's a lot to do. So I definitely understand it, but it is what it is. I think it's up there for me. It's definitely like top 5, top 3 game this year. You know, I haven't even gone to a lot of the games this year. I still have a lot of games that I haven't even unwrapped that I got to get to, and they keep adding more and coming out with more. I bought more recently too, so go figure.
Yeah, I'm getting another one that comes out next Friday, so that's just gonna add to the list for me.
The Evil Dead.
Yeah.
We'll see. That might be fun. It might be good. I don't know. We'll see. I thought about getting it too, but I don't think I would realistically like play it as much. So I think I'll just wait. I think that's something I'll play once and then not touch for like months.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like it's just gonna be a very like, not fan servicey game, but I think fans of it will get more out of it. But we'll see. I'm just very like.
That's the only reason why I would get it. Yeah, it's just because I'm a fan of those movies. I love those movies. you know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And it's cool that they brought most of like the original cast back, and it's all like mostly new lines and everything. So, uh, it'll be fun.
oh yeah, I'm sure it'll be fun, especially with the friends, because it's just like a multiplayer Dead by Daylight type thing.
Yeah.
And you know, so that'll be cool. I'm still waiting on whenever Plague Tale 2 is supposed to come out. That is rumored to come out in May. We're already in May. We don't have any confirmation, so I doubt it's going to come out in May. But I pre-ordered the collector's edition for that, and I'm going to get this like big old statue to add to my collection, and I'm excited for that. So, dude, if you keep the bottle in your mouth.
Yeah, I think the next like big title I'm really excited for is Gotham Knights, but same thing. It's I think we got the release date off the top of my head. I think it's October 25th. But
For what? Forspoken?
no,
Oh.
Gotham Knights.
Oh.
Like I was saying, that's like my next big like anticipated title.
Oh, Forspoken is mine for sure. That's 100%. I'm so excited for that. Gotham Knights could be fun.
Yeah, they just haven't shown or said anything about pre-orders yet, so I'm just waiting to
Right.
see what comes out for it.
Right. I'm sure they'll do something. If not anything crazy like a collector's edition or anything, they'll do something. You know,
problem.
hopefully. I mean, that'd be cool for fans to have. But so anyway, that, you know, basically we're both playing Lego Star Wars. If you haven't played it, it is a instant buy. If you need something to spend time doing, it is an instant buy. It's really good. Come on, bud. You've been watching me play that. And so to legway into the conversation, then I guess I'll start it off because I have a couple more than you do, as we said pre-recording. And so I guess I'll start with the big one that really like sparked this whole thing for me, because I think about this often. I always wonder like why it's even a thing and why the fan base is very much like for it. There's like, it's weird because it's kind of like split between people are on my side and people aren't on my side in this kind of debate, and it's definitely weird. But obviously, you know, oh my goodness, bud, oh my goodness, got a voice. So this has to do with Final Fantasy X. As you would know, and as most people would know, it is my favorite game of all time. It is the game that really segued me into video games as more than just a hobby. And that was at a very young age when that happened. They produce a sequel called Final Fantasy X2. They produce a, I guess like, it's like a, not really a book, but a synopsis called X 2.5, which is supposed to segue from after X2 before the events of X3, which X3 isn't a confirmed thing, but it might be. So my hot take for this is Final Fantasy X2, Final Fantasy X 2.5, and any notion of Final Fantasy X3 should not be a thing. Get rid of it. Throw it out. We don't need it. It fundamentally ruins the ending and the impact of Final Fantasy X. The whole purpose of Final Fantasy X is undone in Final Fantasy X2. And then to further my point, Final Fantasy X 2.5 undoes everything Final Fantasy X2 sets out to do.
Jesus Christ.
And then Final Fantasy X3 fundamentally undoes all of it. And it's just, I don't understand why people are so hyped about it. Here's the thing too, is X2 isn't a bad game. Like, as a game, it's fun. And honestly, X2 has some like redeeming qualities to it. So I'm not saying X2 is a bad game. I'm just saying the story of it fundamentally ruins what Final Fantasy X set out to do. And that's what hurts me as a fan. So X2 has two different endings. And if the bad ending, the non-canonical ending, was the true ending, I would have been sold, I would have been set, I would have been in full support, but it's not. They went with the good ending, and I don't understand without, and I can't really get more into it without spoiling it. And this is a game Final Fantasy X is a game that, like, I don't ever want to spoil if you've never heard of it or never played it, because it is that good. It's just that amazing. And it's so that's why this is like a hard, like, hot take to do, but take all of that, anything after X2 or X Final Fantasy X, get rid of it. We don't want it, we don't need it. And I'm not gonna lie, there's some crazy things that happen in hey bud. Hey, what's wrong? You okay? Want to play some music? There you go. And like, there's some crazy things that happens in Final Fantasy X 2.5 that it's like, whoa, this is crazy, you know, like big, like, you know, shocking things that happen. But and this is where, again, people are very much divided, where people are like, oh, I love Final Fantasy X2, we need to keep doing this story. I'm like, no, we don't need to keep doing this story. You fundamentally ruined it. You reversed everything in this convoluted way, and then it's just, you know, not a fun time. Hey, dude, what's wrong? Did you want to sit in my lap? You want to sit in my lap? Oh, yeah, you just being very vocal today, huh? Come here, bud. Come here, bud. Come here. Come here. You just get to be on the podcast today again. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's a thing, but I think about this a lot, where I'm just like, why the hell does Square Enix do this? Why do they do this to this amazing story and this amazing game? You know, not that, like, again, I think if X2, the canonical ending for X2 was the bad ending, I would have been 100% like, dude, this was perfect, actually. This is a great sequel, you know, that has something to say. But the true ending doesn't. So canonically, in my headcanon, the bad ending is where I leave it, you know. But unfortunately, in the real world and not in my head, it's canon. And that's what kind of sucks, because there's a lot of things, you know, that happens. And if those of you who have played X and X2, you'll know what I'm talking about. And those who have played or have read the 2.5, they'll understand. And then X3, the only thing we know about X3 is just like, the way X 2.5 leaves off is, okay, so that's what X3 is going to be about. Now we know what the plot's going to be about. And they're basically just redoing X Final Fantasy X, and it's just like, I don't get it, you know? I don't understand. It's honestly the fucking Palpatine situation with Rise of Skywalker, where it's like, oh, let's just bring him back because he's evil. No, don't do that. So I guess minor spoilers for that, but and it's just a very frustrating thing as a Final Fantasy X fan. It's the one thing I'm very passionate about. I'm all for sequels. I'm all for giving us more stuff, but sometimes, I don't know, you gotta do it right, and you gotta do it justice. You know, it's almost like the reverse effect of what was it? Last of Us. You know, we're like, oh, Last of Us 1, don't touch it, don't make a sequel, don't do nothing. And they made a sequel. We're like, all right, let's see what they do. And they build off of that, and they have something new to tell us, and new to show us, and a new message. Whereas X2 doesn't. It just, no, I'm sorry. For those of you who love it and are all about it, sorry, but no, we gotta throw it away. Get out of it. It is not canon to me at all. And I'm just gonna have to accept that it is. I will say, though, I would be down for an X0, which that idea has been kind of floating around. X0 would just be, it would take place before the main game, following a different party of people. Again, for those who have played the game and know the story and know everything, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'd be 100% open and down for that, even if it would only be like a 10-hour game, you know, something really just simple and short, you know, just to do. I would be 100%, because we already know like what happens, it's just being able to play through that journey would be the fun part. And then I don't, that's, I mean, it is what it is. So that's, yeah, get rid of everything past Final Fantasy X. Get rid of it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with it. If you do, cool. But no. So that's like I said, I think about this often. I think about just like what's the thought process of this and everything. And then I mean, if you have any questions about it, if you're like really wondering why, then I'll tell you, but it will contain spoilers. So
I mean, yeah, like I have no experience with Final Fantasy X, so I mean, I got nothing to say on it. To be honest, I've been wanting to play that one. I just never get around to it.
it's really good. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece.
That's the point where I literally need to, because I was talking to someone I know yesterday, and we just ended up getting onto Final Fantasy, and he like sat there and like listed out all of like, you know, the ones that are his favorite ones in order, and I was just like, yeah, I've only played 7 remake and 15, so that's all I got. And so it was just, you know, I wanted like you know, be able to play more of those games. It's just I really just need to sit down and do it.
They're definitely commitments. Like 10's a commitment. You can't. That's not 10 isn't a game where you just, you know, it's not a game where you just sit down and play. It's a commitment, you know, because it takes time, and it is from an older generation, you know, much like with Final Fantasy 7. Obviously, if you play Final Fantasy 7, the original on PlayStation, you have God mode where you can just blast through everything, and just to get to the story, which is awesome, you know. It gives you like infinite health, infinite like all your attacks are basically the limit breaks, and it's just you can just do that. Plus, you have the 4x speed mode, which obviously speeds up the walking and all that kind of stuff, and the combat too. So all the needless grinding, it cuts it down. And I mean, there's a lot. I think the one you should realistically play is 12. I think that's the one you would like the most out of like, I guess, the Renaissance. I mean, I wouldn't consider 12 a Renaissance game. I would say everything after 10 is where the series really split into a whole different direction with its games. Because that 10 was the last one they did turn-based combat. Everything else is like a more real-time thing. But 12 does a lot of like stuff from KOTOR, where you set up, you queue in attacks, and then the characters will just do out the attacks. And it's that, and honestly, 12 is basically a ripoff of A New Hope. Like, it is flat out A New Hope. You know, the main character is Luke. He's not as cool as Luke. Like, the characteristics are different, but like the roles are the same. And then later on in the game, you meet two characters. They're called Bosch, or not Bosch. What is his name? I don't know. I can't think of his name. I'm blanking on it. But he's like the sky pirate. He's the scoundrel of the group. And then he has a companion her name is Fran, who is this mythical creature with like bunny ears, basically, in the lore of Final Fantasy. And it's like, okay, so that's Han and Chewbacca, basically. Okay. Cool. And then you have this guy named Captain Bosch, who very much is Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is like the mentor character. And it's just, and then you have you got a Princess Leia knockoff, and you just have so many characters. It's just like a 1-for-1, basically. Obviously the story's not the same. Also, you fight, because the two characters you meet that are like Han and Chewie, they have their own ship. And the main character, his name's Vaughn, he's like, oh, I can't wait to go on this event. And it's just like, dude, this is totally... Not to mention, they fight the Empire. Like, that's the whole thing. They fight, it's the Empire. And then Bosch, Captain Bosch, the Obi-Wan Kenobi guy, he has a friend. And this friend betrays him and turns him into the Empire, just like freaking Lando from Empire Strikes Back. It is like a Star Wars thing. That's why, and I know you're a big Star Wars guy, I think that's the one you'll like the most. It's really, really fun. Final Fantasy X, I mean, that's always going to be my favorite. Based on everything that we saw from the NVIDIA leaks, everything on that leak list has been confirmed. So Final
Right.
Fantasy 9 remake is probably going to be a thing. We're probably going to see it sometime soon because everything else was confirmed. You know, we got the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, which we all know how that turned out. And then obviously Kingdom Hearts 4, that was on the leak list too. That got announced. And then something else was on there that got announced. I forgot what it was, but like everything on that list so far has been announced, and it's just like
Yeah.
whoa. So this is real, and if anything, Kingdom Hearts 4 confirmed it. So if we don't get Final Fantasy 9 remake, that's gonna be crazy. But that's another good one. A lot of people say that's the best one, and I don't blame them. It's pretty phenomenal. These games are definitely like rough, not really rough, but they take commitment for sure. Especially if you want to like plat them and 100% them, they take commitment. You know, I mean, Final Fantasy X-7 remake is more friendly. You know, same with Final Fantasy 15. Those are more friendly for newcomers because it's not the turn-based combat. It's just you press the button to attack and you do the attack, and it's real time. You know, and so that's really just where the split comes from, and I think that there's a lot of cool things that Final Fantasy does that most games don't do, and it's one of those series that will just stick with me forever. But in terms of Final Fantasy X2, get rid of it. There's, I'm not here to like, and again, I'm not here to like make an argument about it because I would have to spoil it, and I really want my co-host here to play the original game, and then eventually maybe even play X2. If not even play X2, just like watch video essays about X2 and about X2.5 and then the potential for X3. And you might understand why, because it's just like, what did you guys do to my game? What did you guys do to my story and my characters? Totally flip-flopped it. Again, if X2, if the bad ending is the canonical ending, we're good. We're good. But then in that case, 2.5 and X3 aren't allowed to exist, And I think that's a big thing. So, and the grand scheme of things, it is what it is, and I have to live with it. But I just do. That is something I will die on that hill. Get rid of those games, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are gonna be like, no, you need to get out of here, and you can die on that hill then, and we'll enjoy it. I'm just like, sorry, I can't do it.
Right.
So that's my hot take. Is get rid of it.
Okay.
Delete it. Thanos snap it and get rid of it. I'm over it. I don't need it. Bud. We don't like it.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I haven't played those, so I have absolutely no opinion on it. I think at just some point, I really just gotta force myself to sit down and do them. But I guess if you're done with that one, I'll go into mine.
Yeah, go for it.
So mine, I don't know if it's really a hot take rather than just really just like an interesting opinion, but so I mean, if you've been on PlayStation at all this week, same time I have, you might have noticed I'm jumping back into a certain game that, like I said at the top, got a not so good reception upon its release. And so my thing that I'm bringing today is I think Cyberpunk 2077 deserves a second chance. It now, honestly, there's no way that I can, try to make excuses and all that for the launch because, quite honestly, I made fun of it when all that stuff was going on, and I am guilty of saying like, oh, that game's probably not that great, and it's just caught the bad end of just poor timing, and obviously it kind of got rushed out because it was delayed. I think, 2 or 3 times, and it kind of got to the point where a lot of people were like, just put the damn game out and, it is what it is, and then turned right around and just like, what the hell is this? Like, why'd you put this out? And
Yeah.
because when the game first came out, I didn't play it, but basically everywhere was, most people were reporting that, it was just a buggy mess, like a lot of stuff didn't work, and like the game overall just had a high ceiling that it couldn't reach.
Yeah.
And So, I gave it some time. I think it was Black Friday last year. It was on sale for cheap. And so I was like, you know what, I'll just grab it now, wait for the PS5 port to come out and just play it there. And so, me getting knee deep into a huge list of games one day, I realized, oh crap, the Cyberpunk or PS5 port came out today. And it was just like,
Hmm.
well, I'll get to that eventually.
Yeah.
And so after, a few weeks or whatever, I think it's been, kind of just hit this point where, I was kind of just bored with everything that I've been playing.
Yeah.
And, I kind of just wanted to take a break, do something new. And I was like, you know what, let me try Cyberpunk and, actually get into it this time and, see where it takes me. And so, I'm probably about 15, 20 hours in, which really isn't much because this actually is a fairly big game from what I'm seeing at least.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And, there's a lot to do and, there's a lot of ways you can handle a lot of things, which I really like. And honestly, like, as far as like just the actual like core gameplay and like how it handles and everything, I haven't had a single issue since I started. It's actually been very smooth. I like, the gunplay and just the overall gameplay a lot. Um, I am starting to kind of get onto the idea that as far as like a shooter RPG, like this is kind of, or the as far as like how you build your character and like kind of like just how the game is overall like framed and all that, I really like it. Like it's kind of like it's like a really, there's still some things that do like there's work that needs to be done on it and just a few things here and there, but it is shaping into a very good like shooter RPG. Of course I've played better, there are better, and I just think that because of the way the game came out and just how it was handled at first, it was pretty much set up to fail. And Cyberpunk, or not Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red kind of didn't really handle the original launch all that well. And, of course, that's, not even regarding like just the state of the world at the time and them dealing with COVID and all that. Because
Yeah.
I imagine, at the best time that this game needed to get the work done on it was when COVID hit, and of course that was right around the time when everybody was trying to figure out remote work and all that. So obviously things aren't going to get done at the same uh like rate and pace as normal,
Right.
but um at first when I first started playing, I was kind of just blowing through a lot of like the story missions. That way I can get to a pace where it's like, okay, a lot of things are unlocked and now I can kind of just go run around and see what all like the side content this game has to offer.
Yeah.
And I got maybe, I want to say 3 to 5 main missions in and happened to check like the story tracker and I was already like 40% through the story, and it was just like, oh, okay, I should actually take the story slow and just do things, that pop up as I go. And because it actually seems like it's a fairly short story, or at least the main story progress is, fairly short. Because from what I can, well, at least what I think is, I think there's maybe like 2 or 3 like story paths that you go down. Because there's one
Yeah.
that deals with your character that you make at the beginning in his journey, and then there's a kind of second story arc that all revolves around Johnny Silverhand, which is Keanu Reeves' character.
Right.
And so I think you can kind of just do them separately until, I'm assuming at one point they eventually just converge based on the direction that your character's story goes down.
Right. Right.
But I mean, honestly, this game, I went into it, just thinking of all the stuff that I've heard, like, online and, from certain, like, reviews and critics and all that. And that's normally, why the hell did Steam just open? That's not normally something that, I do, paying attention to, like, reviews and critics and all that, because I'm someone that very much, like, obviously, people are going to like, some people are going to like this, some people aren't going to like it, but, what am I going to think? and like I'm not gonna not play it because someone said it's not good. Um, but because I've been on the same path where there's been some games that are like critically and commercially praised, and I kind of played it and was just, I mean, it was okay. Like I don't understand what's so special about this, but people like things different than others, so cool with that. But just Cyberpunk, it's not at all playing as the way that it's been presented to me, and I'm just very actually impressed with it. I'm kind of went into it building a certain character for a play style that I'm actually at the point where I'm not even sure how to even get there. Just because I saw the like mantis blade things was like swords that come out of your character's forearm, and I'm like, that's cool as shit. I want to go with that.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get into it. And I'm just like, okay, how do I even get those? Like my stats are already stacked for that to be a really good weapon for me. It's just how the hell do I get it? And I just want to naturally come across it rather than just pull up a guide and like, oh, how do I get them?
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of more just running around trying to figure out how you get certain things.
Right.
But yeah, no, like I said, I'm not sure if this is really a hot take, much more
Oh, it
than
definitely is.
an
It
opinion.
definitely
But
is.
okay, so
I would say it is. So,
yeah,
did you play the PS4 version?
I had played it a little bit, but I did not get far into it because I don't because there's when you first start, you kind of pick like three different backgrounds for your character,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and I think from what I've heard is the intros are all different depending on what like life story you have or whatever. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I went with like the nomad life path, so pretty much where I started, whereas I was like outside of Night City, kind of just making my way towards it because my character left like their clan or whatever, and they want to go make a new start like in the city. And once you get there, you meet Jackie Wells, who's like kind of like your character's like best friend or whatever, and you kind of just mess around with like some side jobs and like, oh, we got a big break, like this is our way into the big leagues. And basically like that mission is you're going to steal this like military like grade biochip or something for like this client. And pretty much once you get there, shit goes down, like this like pretty much like almost world changing thing happens like right in front of your character, and you get like set up for something that happens. And I stopped right there, which is like that's not even like to the like title screen yet, or at
Yeah.
least like the title card. It was like maybe like the midpoint of the prologue, and it was just like, okay, that was fun, but I'm gonna go do something else. And plus at the time, if I remember right, because there's this one part where you're in a car chase having to like shoot at people chasing you. And I think when I first played that, it was like a little bit like choppy and kind of like hard to really aim because the frame rate kept like kind of cracking out on me. And so I think it was kind of like, okay, it's in a little bit of a rough spot. And I think that's when I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna set this aside and wait for the PS5 port. And
Okay.
so I think it was, yeah. So when I played it on PS4, I had a very limited like time with it, but I kind of got some of like very minor issues, but I got some of what people said about it. But since it being on PS5 and having that version, it's a whole different like experience. Like this is kind of like the PS5 version is pretty much like, okay, this is what I expected a CD Projekt game to be.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, is like it was made for the next gen stuff, and that was
Yeah.
the big controversy about it. So obviously you're gonna have the time of your life on the PS5 version. Like that's like a no-brainer. That's how it was intended to release. But they looked at the PS4 version, they tested it, they did everything with all the issues it had, and they said, "Oh yeah, this is perfect. We'll release this." It's like, no, there's a whole bunch of different controversies behind that game. And my thing too, that game was announced like 10 years ago.
Right.
There's no excuse. I'm sorry, there's just no excuse. Obviously The Witcher 3 was the thing, and they had to work on that. But we're talking, okay, 2 years. Like, there's a 2-year difference between the announcement of Cyberpunk 2077 to The Witcher 3 in 2015. So you're telling me 5 years, and this is what you release? That's insane. That's not okay. And I'm not even gonna blame COVID on this one, because again, from 2013 when the game got announced, they were working on it. There's no excuse. I'm sorry, there's just no excuse for how they released it. As far as, giving it a second chance, I think that's valid. It's something that I look at and say, I kind of want to try this because I like to try everything. I remember there's one time when another game that came out with a really rough launch, and a lot of people talked shit about it, and I was the one person that was like, no, I want to play this. This looks cool. And I played it, and I actually did enjoy it. And that was Homefront, the Revolution, Homefront 2, basically. I remember distinctly you told me that, oh, everyone's saying that's bad. Why would you get that? And I'm just like, we'll see. Maybe it's bad, maybe it's not. And I ended up playing it, and no, it was rough for sure, but I still enjoyed it for the most part. So I'm seeing that's what's happening with you with Cyberpunk 2077. And I think that, like, I would say it's a hot take. I think that it's very split down the middle, like with my hot take that I had. I don't think you're wrong. I think it definitely does, especially with next gen. Next gen's where it should be. I think a big thing about it too is, like, next gen was coming out like, oh, we should just wait till next gen comes out, and that's pretty much what CD Projekt Red's whole mindset was, oh yeah, we need to just put this on. We're gonna make this crazy on next gen. It's gonna be awesome. Oh, but we already promised it's gonna be on last gen, and we already announced that, so we have to do it. Well, let's just put something out, and they put out a dumpster fire. Like, it was just, like, there are games like let's say Skyrim, super buggy, super crazy. The bugs though in that game enhance the game. It makes it better in a way. Like glitching up mountains with a horse. Like, that makes traveling the world so much funner and better and faster too. And obviously, like, the glitch chests and the secret chests and, some of the other, like, crazy bugs, like, it makes it fun. Whereas Cyberpunk, it was just unplayable, and it just looked like it didn't look good. I've seen plenty of clips and watched plenty of YouTubers and stuff. Obviously, like, every copy of the game is going to vary. So you might just have a good copy of the game, and then everyone else is like SOL, So, like, that's like a big factor. But as long as
that was another thing I was thinking about, because I have it on disc, and so it could be I just got a good, like, printing or whatever, because I remember there was multiple times where you and I, like, were playing the same games, and, like, you would text me like, oh, I'm having this problem where it's, like, super buggy and this is happening, and I'm going through like, what the hell are you talking about? It's been perfect for me. And
you're Irish. You're the lucky man. You're the lucky man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that was like with Timefall 2 online. Like, it functionally did not work, and that could be a connection
that was
thing.
Another one, but I was having a blast with it, and you're just like, I can't even play it. It was just why?
Super bummed, because that was my favorite. That's, to my day, that's still one of my favorite shooters of all time, and I was just like, that sucks. That, like, I don't know if like I said, I don't know if I got a faulty disc, or I don't know what had happened, and which is the unfortunate thing. But like, I mean,
Titanfall's dead now, so either way.
As far as, like, any sequels, yeah, probably. But I still think that game's phenomenal. That was one of the first.
Definitely.
That was another, like, first-person shooter game where I was very much like, because I played it on Xbox in college, and I was like, I want to try this game. And I was like, oh wow, this is actually really fun. Cool. There's no story mode? Okay, well, it is what it is. The following year, we get Titanfall 2. I said, cool, it's coming to PlayStation. I'll get it. I got it on Black Friday on sale. And I ended up getting the Platinum Trophy for that, which was a rather difficult. That was one of the more difficult trophies for me to get, especially with first-person shooters. I'm not that good at first-person shooters, admittedly. And so I think that it could be like you got just a good version of the game, but also it very much seems like you played it at a time where, like, patches were coming out, because they were coming out tons of patches and tons of fixes and stuff. So you could be playing, like, the definitive edition of that game, which is awesome that you get to experience that, and you get to say, hey, like, because what I've heard is when the game works, it's great. It's fun. It's a blast, you know.
Yeah, but I mean that's also
When it
another
works
thing that
though, and that's
yeah
like
I didn't
a
mention is
50-50 chance that
yeah I'm
it'll work.
playing after I think most of the major updates that brought a lot of like really big fixes. So
Yeah. So I think that you have to factor that in for yourself, is that you're playing in like its prime, you know, because it's worked on and stuff. And if you play it like on a release, that's a whole different shebang, you know. So I think now, yeah, it should get a second chance because it's mostly been fixed, you know. I can't speak for the PC or Xbox or anything like that, but what I've seen from PlayStation, yeah, it works, you know. Is it a great game still? You know, probably not, but it works now for the most part. At least I hope it does for most people, and with the patches and everything, and you know that could be a huge factor with it, you know.
yeah.
And I think that, you know, so I would say this is a good hot take because it is a controversial game, you know. Like I said, this game's been in development for years, for like absolute years. I think back in 2013 we got the first like teaser trailer for it, and it's just like cool, you know. What the heck, you know. And then, you know, we have games like Kingdom Hearts 3, you know, and that came out. But the controversy about Kingdom Hearts 3 was just the story, you know. And story is you do that before you even start making the game. You write the script before you start making the game. So that's where that comes in. But, you know, Kingdom Hearts, they took their time to make that game, and that game runs really good, and it looks really good, and it plays really good. Whereas Cyberpunk had the same situation where it's actually the same exact thing, because Cyberpunk and Kingdom Hearts 3 got announced in 2013. At least around that time, I think. Cyberpunk was either 2014 or 2013. So they had that same time frame, essentially, and to release their game. And, you know, that's a weird comparison to make, of course. Like, they're both very different games by very different companies. And I just think that, you know, I'm not saying like I'll side with you on this because I don't know if I'll play it, but I do think it deserves a second chance when it's fixed, and it seems like it's fixed, you know, because you're talking like, oh, I don't have any issues with it, it runs good, and I'm like, that's awesome. Then it does deserve a second chance. If you're getting that experience, maybe it could be a disc situation. It could be that. It could very much be you have to play this on next gen. I think at the end of the day, that's it. You just have to play on next gen.
Yeah, probably what it comes down to, because from what I understood was the update that like introduced like the next gen versions was kind of pitched as like, this is the big one.
Yeah,
like
pretty
much we're doing this and then we're moving on getting the DLCs out.
Yeah, right.
Because that's the other thing, is there was, I think, supposed to have like one or two, like, I don't know if it was necessarily story content, but like just content DLCs out by now, but they were just pretty much like, yeah, those don't even exist. Like, we need to get this game back on its feet.
Right, they got to fix it first. I think the best case scenario for this game at launch was just to not put it on past gen systems and just focus on next gen and PC, you know, which is what they wanted to do, but they had already announced a long time that, hey, we're putting this on next gen, and that's where the focus is going to be. Right when they said that, I said, okay, well, that sucks for a lot of people, because this game, again, it's been in development for a very, very long time. And with that, he's such a happy boy. And with that, you know, again, I'm not using COVID as an excuse for this either, because like at the end of the day, they had years of work on this game. You know, this is something that should have honestly released a longer time ago. You know, and like in maybe 2018 or 2019. You know, because I remember this was announced, and I'm just like, oh, cool, a new game got announced. This looks rad. And then we never heard anything about it since, until like, you know, obviously when we got like the release day and the new trailer and the E3 stuff.
18 or 19, something like that.
Yeah, so it's just like, you had all that time to work on this. Come on, you can't blame COVID. Obviously, COVID was an impact on it for the release, but I mean, come on.
Yeah,
there's no. You can't use that as an excuse.
7 years of work done on the game.
Now,
by then.
if they
It's like,
announced it in like 2018 or 2016 or not even 2017, 2018, maybe I would say okay.
yeah,
Okay, maybe I'll say COVID really hurt this game, but when you've had that long, I don't know. And I think a lot of people don't talk about that it's been out, it's been announced for years now, and all that. It's just
I
crazy.
remember seeing some stuff like where people brought up that point was like, oh, this game was announced in 2013. Like, what happened in those 7 years? Like,
Yeah,
like, was it just being constantly like rewritten and changed, or were they like doing one thing and it's like, oh, never mind, let's try this. Never mind, let's try this. And like, I remember seeing that was something that was brought up, but I think once it launched, everybody was just like, okay, what is this? Like, what even happened with this game?
that is year one, maybe not even year one of. No, it was year. Oh no, it wasn't. The PS4 wasn't even out. Take that into consideration.
Yeah.
It was coming out. It was like the next year or so, or next 2 years. I think next year. I think 2014. That's when the PS4 came out.
Yeah, because I think you got yours at release, and I got mine like a year after you did.
I don't know.
And
I don't think I got it exactly at release. Maybe a couple months.
Yeah.
And then you got it a couple months, I would say, after me. Something like that. Because you got it for graduation, and I got it.
Yeah. Because I got mine 2015.
That sounds about right. Something like that. And it's just crazy, that I don't see that conversation happening. I feel like that's something that needs to be made. If the game, we're going to announce it before the PS4 comes out, it's probably going to be a PS4, and that's what it was. It was going to be a PS4 title, right. And what's the deal, So I think there's a lot of factors with this.
Basically the end of the PS4's lifetime.
Yeah, and they released it the way they did when they had all that time to make it look good, It's crazy. I think if they focused on just releasing on the original gen and then just doing the port later, like every game has done. Like look at like Greedfall, that came out, and then maybe a year later when the PS5 comes out, hey, let's just port this over on PS5 and just you could do that. And they chose not to do that. That's a company issue. That's a development issue. That's them. That's on them, And that's why I don't really support it, because they chose to do that. They chose money over like making something good and something that works. And that's what sucks. That's how I see it, at least. But because I think that, again, it has potential. It has potential because it still sold a good amount of copies, and it has potential. I mean, even PlayStation took it off their marketplace, so you couldn't even buy it digitally for a while. And it's just insane that's just how it released. I think release time, that was the time to not get it. And I will say, in agreement with you, that now's the time to get it, as long as it's on next gen. Because I don't think they're doing anything. I think they've already said, like, we're not touching PS4, Xbox One. We're not touching those. That it is what it is. And we're sticking to the PS5 version and Xbox Series X and PC version, updating those. And like you said, doing DLC and expansions and stuff. And I think that's a big yes on that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a reasonable hot take. I think that, yeah, give it a second chance. I mean, will I ever play it? That's a big maybe, only because I have so many games in my backlog, and I know that something like Cyberpunk 2077 is going to take me time, because that's something I would want to take time playing, But so it's a possibility, especially if it's like $15, which I've seen it on sale for that low before.
I think I got it for like 10.
Oh, so see, yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. That's a big maybe for me.
You can always just borrow it, honestly.
But it's only a maybe for me because, like I said, I have so many other games. Like I haven't started the new Final Fantasy game, which is a big, like, it's sus for me because it's Final Fantasy. And then of course, Dying Light 2, I barely started. I still haven't started Nier Replicant. I have so many games on my backlog, it's insane. And something like Cyberpunk that doesn't initially draw to me is already like, don't know if I want this.
Yeah, it's like I'm still working through Ghostwire, like Kana. I still have to get the plat for Horizon. I have a ton of stuff. I have Wonderland. I need to get back to that at some point. Yeah, I still have a lot to do too. But
Yeah, just looking at my freaking bookshelf over there, there's games. I'm like, oh yeah,
yeah,
that
I'm
one
over
too, that
here
one
staring
too.
at mine, like even looking, it's like I still got a lot I need to do.
Well, that's like not even all the games. I have more underneath my desk, which are like the ones that like I plan on playing right away, and they're all
Yeah,
underneath
I
here.
have a ton of digital games.
That's not. Yeah, this isn't even counting digital games because I bought two. I bought two recently, and because they're really good deals. But hey, hey, bud, you starting to get cranky? Probably, but I mean, yeah, I would say that's good. I think that was a really good topic point. Is Cyberpunk because that is a very controversial thing right now, and it probably will forever be in the history of gaming. Like, what the hell happened, And maybe we'll never know behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't know. I really don't know. Just that what I've seen based on the patterns, it's not good, and I'm really hoping. I swear to God, I swear to God, CD, don't screw up the next Witcher game. Don't, please don't
did you see
make
what
that
happened
make
with the
that
Witcher 3
immaculate.
port?
What
Did you see what happened with the Witcher 3 port?
on
That they
what?
So the Witcher 3 PS5 version was being handled by a outside studio,
Okay.
and they CD ended up bringing it in house because I guess they saw like what was being done. It was just like a what the hell is happening with this, and so they brought it back in house so they can just hurry up and finish it. So I think that was supposed to come out
Something like
in like last summer or something like that because it
yeah.
has a Netflix Witcher like DLC, so
Right, yeah.
like they're way behind on that one too. Like it seems like CD hit like a massive high with Witcher 3 and then just kind of walked to the edge and like, yeah, let's start over and just nosedived right off.
You was hungry, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like Witcher 3 on the PS5, that would be cool to have. Would I actually play it? Probably not.
Maybe I'll finally play it.
I
And
probably
not be-
won't because I got the platinum for Witcher 3 on the PS4, which it's an incredible experience, but my god,
Every time I try to play it, I get like maybe an hour and a half, and it's just like, yeah, no, I'm good.
oh, I was very much no, I'm very big into it. I put like almost 200 hours to get the platinum. It's a journey.
It's I don't know what it is. It's just Witcher 3 is one of those games where it's like I look at it and it's like I like this. Like I like the idea, I like the characters, but when I play it, why don't I like it? And it's like it could just be the way the game plays itself, but just for some reason it's The Witcher 3 like the game just doesn't hit, but I'm like fully into the world. Like I love the Netflix show. I love
Yeah.
well, I don't want to say I love the game, but I want to love the game. It just for some reason doesn't land for me, and I can't figure out why.
It took me a while cuz when I first played, I think for me it felt too daunting. It just felt like this is just too big. I'm going to need time. And I finally, said I'm gonna sit down and do this because I want to play this. I really do want to play it, and I finally caught up on some of my backlog. Not really caught up, but on like titles that like I want to play. And it came to the point where like, all right, Witcher 3, you're up now. I'm gonna dedicate time to you, and I
Yeah,
love the experience. It's
I
just
know.
the to get the platinum. It's just a lot of micromanaging. I had to actually like type out like a list of shit that I needed, and I'm just like, I'm not. That's just if I have to do that, it's too much. That's too
Yeah,
much because there's too many missable like trophies and stuff in it, and it's just like if you mess up, you gotta start the whole thing over, and then
yeah,
obviously playing it on the hardest difficulty on my second playthrough, I got to do New Game Plus, and I was like, cool, I'm just gonna breeze through this. On New Game Plus, everything scales with you, so I'm now on New Game Plus on the hardest difficulty where I die in like 3 hits, and I might have all my abilities and perks and skills and stuff and weapons, but I still do like base damage as if and I was like, damn. So I spent more time doing that playthrough just to get through it, because I had to go through the entire. It was just the story, but still, even that, it was just like, oh my god, there's a lot to do in the story. It's a big story, so we'll see. I just hope they really focus in on the next Witcher game, because that's something I definitely want to play. That's something for sure I want to play, and I'm excited to see more about that. So CD, don't mess it up. I know you guys are great and you have the potential to do it. Just don't. I think that's a big thing too, is like, just take your time.
Right.
Like, who cares if a game takes forever to come out? Just take your time to make it, and make it good, you know? It's crazy. It's crazy. Just take your time. Delays are good. I'm always about delays. Like, even with like Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, it got delayed a ton of times. And it came out great. I don't know, and I haven't had a single issue with it, and I haven't seen a single issue with it online. You know, it is a functionally well-made game. You know, there are some choices that I'm not a huge fan of, but that's all, again, pre-production. That's before they even make it. It runs great, you know, and I mean, yeah, Cyberpunk. I agree. Give it a second chance, people. If it's something you were like, I didn't like it at release because it sucked. I have a PS5 now, an Xbox Series X, or whatever, whichever one, you know. Try it. Maybe you'll think differently now that it runs and you can actually play it, you know, and doesn't crash on you, or it's not buggy, or the textures don't load in at all, and it just looks like flat palettes, you know, of color, and it just doesn't look good. You can't see people's faces. There's a lot of issues with it, but again, that's a release issue. With all these patches, you know, it could be better, like you have said. You know, you've made a good point here that now, this is the time to play it, you know, and I think that's really cool. So that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. So pre-recording, I said I had 4. One of them is one we both can relate to, and again, we both might be on separate spectrums here, and it could be fun. So there's one I'm going to say here. This is another one. There's the two. I'm going to be quick about these next two, because I don't really have a ton. I have a ton to say, but I don't want to take up too much time. So what? Clean you. So what? It's a split between 2 games. This isn't really a hot take. It's just like, dang. Like, crazy to think about. And it's the split between Oblivion and Skyrim. So Skyrim is this fantastic, well-made game. Everyone loves it. It's been remade how many times? Or remade, not really remade, but republished how many times now on how many systems? And it's insane. Whereas Oblivion didn't get that love. It's still on PC.
Every video game console in a fridge near you.
Exactly, yeah. The Samsung fridge, you know. And the Alexa device. You can even do it on the Alexa device, actually. That's a legit thing. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's a legit thing. You can play Skyrim by using the Alexa device. And I'm just like, that's insane. And with the Kinect 2, you can, like, play, you know, it's crazy. But with Oblivion, though, it didn't get a lot of love. You know. For a long time, I've always said, like, oh, Skyrim could be my number 1 game of all time. Like, oh, no, David. For a long time, I've always said, like, yeah, Skyrim could be my number 1 game. Skyrim is amazing. I put in probably well over 1,000 hours across all this, because I played it on PC, I played it on Xbox 360, I played it on PS3, PS4, I played it on PS5. The only one I haven't played on is Switch, but I played on, like, everything. So across all those systems, I probably have gathered over 1,000 hours, maybe more. Dude, I'm in this realm where I don't.
Even more ridiculous the more you say it.
I don't. It really does. I don't know if I like Oblivion or Skyrim more now, and I think that's like, whoa. What do you mean? Skyrim's obviously better. Is it? I don't know, man. It's hard because I think realistically the writing is better in Oblivion. I think they say some nutty things that are just bust out loud. I'll laugh out loud. I'll actually be interested in the storyline that it's telling. I think the level up system is easy in Skyrim, but I think the Oblivion one is way more fun. Obviously, the combat in Skyrim's better than it is in Oblivion, and obviously Skyrim looks better and has more features and stuff that you can, and more to do in it, you know. But man, I don't know. I go back and forth between those two. So, and I know that one is like you don't really have any experience with either of those games really, besides maybe a couple hours between them. And those are also games I'm sure you would say I cannot get into this, just like with The Witcher 3. And I always go.
I played Oblivion, but that was years ago.
You played at my house and you fell asleep, so that tells you everything right there.
Was it?
And then Skyrim, the same thing. You fell asleep.
Morrowind. I played one of them on Xbox, and I can't
That's
remember which
Morrowind.
one it was.
Morrowind was on Xbox. I had that for PC too. That one I have only played a little bit on the Xbox, on the original Xbox.
Maybe it was Morrowind then. So I remember I rented one of those from almost said GameStop, from Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I've actually heard quite a few people go for Oblivion more than Skyrim.
Yeah.
I think this Skyrim has such a reputation just because it's so like commercially huge.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, that's what I mean. It's like fundamentally. Here's the thing: objectively and fundamentally, Skyrim should be the better game. This is really it's really personal for me. It's like, dude, I think I like Oblivion more. And at the end of the day, I think Oblivion, I just end up having more fun because the mechanics are a lot deeper, the storytelling is a lot better, and when it comes to Skyrim, it's like, dang, Skyrim is just funner to play though. Like as far as gameplay goes, it's just funner, and you can do so many cool things with the spells and whatnot in it. And I love playing like pure spellcasters in Skyrim. I got the Skyrim Anniversary Edition. I started it for the PS5, but I told myself maybe I want to stream this playthrough because I'm gonna replat it and it's gonna be a long trip again. But I'm 100% down to do it again. It's a game that never gets old, but I keep thinking about Oblivion. Just like, dang, dude, I kind of like Oblivion more in some aspects. It's like split, It's like I wish I could just combine the games together. Which there is a mod where they are doing that. It's called Sky Oblivion, where they're combining, I think it's in Skyrim. It's a Skyrim mod where they're taking aspects from Oblivion and putting them into Skyrim. And I think that's really cool that the modders are doing that. But
yeah,
I think, I don't know. Again, it's not really a hot take. It's just like, it's more of a personal controversy I have with myself. And you are right. There are a lot of people that are like, nah, I like Oblivion more. I think that's why I can't put Skyrim as like my number one favorite game, because I keep going back and forth between the both of them. So that's one. The other one, and again, this one you won't be able to relate to at all either, is Dark Souls 2 is the best in the trilogy. And I will absolutely die on that hill. I will die on that hill. I know there's a lot of people that are like, you're dumb.
Yeah, I can't relate to that, but that is a hot take.
You're a dummy for thinking that. Sorry. I like it more.
Right.
I think the thing too is like, my other opinion though about Dark Souls, the three, just Dark Souls, not like Bloodborne or Sekiro or any, like not the From games, just the trilogy in general, is like, it should have ended at Dark Souls 1 because that just makes sense. But of course, because Dark Souls 2 wasn't even made by the original developing team, it was a whole different thing. Like the lead developer, the director of the game, he didn't want to do Dark Souls 2. He was like, okay, now we're making Bloodborne. That's the next thing. But of course, Dark Souls 1 sold a lot of money. We're going to make another game because it sold money. And we'll just make it, the same and all that. But yeah, it's my favorite in the trilogy. Sorry, not sorry. The thing though is like, it's my favorite, but each game I would give like 9 out of 10 to Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. Each of them are 9 out of 10. Like and I've made that very clear on social media and stuff. So if you ever follow us on Twitter, our handles are Mine's above me. Brod's over here is below him. I always say, like, dude, Dark Souls 2 is great. I love it. I will die on that hill. It's the one I played the most. It's the one I adore the most. And I just think that it enhances the story and enhances the message it's trying to send of, like, you know, there's the choice at the end that you're given with Dark Souls 1, 2. And then 3, the choice, I don't really even understand. But I understand, like, what it's doing. I just don't know why they did it. I think Miyazaki very much was just like, all right, we need to make a third one just so I can close the story. Because Miyazaki for Dark Souls 3 very much was like, okay, that's it. No more. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done. I made the story. I did it. It's done. There's, you know, I finished the story. Because the thing about Dark Souls is, it's a never-ending cycle. You know, whether you become the Dark Lord or relink the fire, the same thing happens over and over again. You go all the way to Dark Souls 3, and you know, you put out the fire for the last time. At the very end, they're like, oh, by the way, it all starts over again. And it's just like, what's the point? Like, that's why I think it should have ended after the first one. I think Miyazaki very much was like, yeah, this is a one and done thing. But of course, you know, but I think, you know, there's definitely a lot of things about Dark Souls 2 where I'm just like, the bosses are the biggest, like, that's why it's not a 10 out of 10 for me. Some of the bosses are just like, what the hell is this? Why? But then there are some bosses where I'm just like, holy shit. And it has better boss fights. It has really deep mechanics when you get into it, more than the other ones. Dark Souls 1, between Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, I would say Dark Souls 2, then 3, and then 1 as far as, like, mechanics in order. Story, I still pick 2. I think the philosophy behind Dark Souls 2 is just so much better in the other games. Again, this is very much a big hot take, and this is another one where I'll die on the hill. I like Dark Souls 2 the most, and I know I'm also not alone. So Dark Souls 2 fans, I need you to step up and say something, because we've been getting shit on for too long, and this needs to stop. Again, I won't go into a lot of detail. And I'm not here to make an argument. I'm not here to make a debate for people. This is just like, I'm just putting out my opinion. That's what I think. If people want us to follow up on this, we absolutely will follow up on this kind of stuff. But yeah, Dark Souls 2 is the best in the trilogy for me personally. Mm-hmm. Again, that's a very subjective, like, point of view too. There's no objective matter in this. It's very, like, if I'm being objective about it, Dark Souls 1 is, like, the best one. But I'm not being objective. I'm being very subjective about this matter. It's very personal, and I just have so much fun with Dark Souls 2. I think just the sounds of it, the design of it. I mean, if we're talking about the entire series in terms of, like, all the games, Bloodborne's GOAT. Bloodborne is the undisputed GOAT of the entire From Software games. It is the best. 10 out of 10. It is the best game by far. It's not even close. But I'm talking just about the main trilogy between Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. And, you know, I think that, you know, I think the promotion for Dark Souls 2 was also really genius, where they were, like, saying, oh, it's a whole new world, it's not connected, it's nothing. And then you play the game and you're just like, wait, no, this is connected. This is just, like, years later in the future. And it's crazy when you get that reveal. There's a lot of great reveals. It's very much honestly, it's the last Jedi of the Dark Souls games. You either love it or hate it. And I love it. I'm on that spectrum where it subverts your expectation of what a Dark Souls game can be, or what a Dark Souls story can tell. Obviously, again, the bosses are the big, like, what the hell were you thinking type thing. But even then, it's still a 9 out of 10 for me. So, like you said, that is a hot take for sure. It definitely is.
And it's like, I say this all the time, and even already multiple times on this podcast, but I really need to force myself to get through those games. But it's just, I'll always do a little bit and then put it down and then go back to it, and it's just like, I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. But
honestly, here's the thing, dude. You don't have to play them. I don't know if it's like because they're so popular, or it's just because if you're not into it, just like with The Witcher 3, if you're really not into it, dude, who cares? It is what it is. Like, there's
Well,
stuff that I'm not into that people are like, oh, I'm crazy. Like, I'm not that into, like, the Mass Effect games. I play them. I'm not, like, I'm crazy about them to, like, other people. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's okay.
yeah. Like, I mean, I like the games, like they're fun and all that, because I know we literally did a whole episode on this, and I
Yeah.
like the challenge of them, but it's just kind of that same challenge can also be like very like difficult for me, and I get to the point where it's like I'm going nowhere with this, like I just give up on it, and then I just get that urge of like it's more or less something that just like as a gamer and just playing Dark Souls because it's partly because of the reputation that the game's had
Yeah.
is like a big draw to it. It's just more or less kind of like a personal thing to me, like this is a game that I like constantly struggle with. And it's one that it always draws me in, and I just get frustrated with it and walk away. It's
Yeah.
like just I guess as a gamer I want to be able to say like, oh, I beat Dark Souls. I'm like, yeah, it kicked the shit out of me, but I beat it at least.
Yeah. For sure.
And so it's just something that I want to do, like just for the fun of it, really.
Because they're endless. Those games are definitely endless. I recently just played Dark Souls 1 again because I was going to do a video essay on it, but I decided, no, never mind. I'm not going to do it.
Like
But
I don't care about like I don't even know if there is like a right way to beat them, but if I see
No,
credits
there's not,
roll,
no.
I'm done with it.
no,
Like,
I tell you
mean,
right now, you cheese the hell out of that game. I don't care. Because
Yeah.
this is a big thing too. This is another controversy actually with Elden Ring when that came out. Everyone was like, because magic is really busted in the Dark Souls games. If anyone
Right.
says, well, how should I play? I just do magic. Don't just do magic. You will fly through the game because it is
Yeah.
busted and broken, and you need to do that. I think like a lot of people love to say, oh, but you didn't do it with no shield, no armor. You didn't do it
Yeah.
with a dagger only. Shut up. That's not how the game was intended to play. If you could do it, dude, that's awesome. Good for you, man. You spent a lot of
Yeah.
time doing that. I don't give a shit.
Very-
I really don't. Like, I don't care, And I'm one of those guys that like, oh, I love doing challenges. Like, I love doing challenge runs. I did Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix level 1 run
Yeah.
with Kingdom King
Now
only
look at that,
because
I'm
I
just
wanted
like,
to. It was fun, but no one wants to play it like that. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah. You tell that to me and Preston, and we're both just like, okay, we know you can do it, but why?
Exactly, because I wanted to. It's just because I wanted
Yeah.
to, Play the game how you
Yeah.
want to play it. Don't listen to any... This is really for the audience members. Don't listen to what anyone has to
Well,
say
yeah,
about that kind of
it's
shit.
The same thing. I go into these games like I know that like like using like the magic and all that's broken, and that's an easy way to play it. But then I'm just like, but I like running in with like the sword and shield and like really fighting and all that. So I try to
Exactly.
do that, and then it's just like I do something wrong, I die, and I'm just like, oh, you freaking idiot! Like what the hell? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna just go to magic, and it's like, no, then I'll just feel cheap.
What I like to do is I like to do magic. I like to do I like to play battle mages in every game I play, and Dark Souls is
Right.
no exception. So what I do with magic is I get a spell where I can buff my sword to do magic damage, and that's it. And then I just apply that, and I don't use a shield. I just use like a two-handed sword, and I go in, and that's the playstyle I've done with all the games. And it's just that's how I like to play them, And there's so many different ways to play these games. You can play like a dexterity build. Elden Ring, I very much went outside my comfort zone, and I was like, I'm gonna make a dexterity build where I just use like a katana or dual wield or something that I've never done before, and I did it, and I found myself. I was struggling because it's just something I'm not used to. I'm not used to being that quick. I'm not used to work with those different reads, and I think that's a big part of it. But also, I don't know. I just don't like the notion of like, oh, you didn't do this, you're trash. It's just like, who cares? I don't care. Like, because I've done a Dark Souls 1 run where I did a no shield run for the first time, and I was like, oh my god, this is dumbass. This is easy. It's easy. It's cheap. It's easy regardless. The games aren't hard. It's really just, and again, this goes back to one of our previous episodes of play conditioning. Just condition you to play them differently.
Right.
And I think that, just play however you want to. So if you legitimately like just aren't enjoying the game, then just don't play it. I think that's a big problem with a lot of people is, oh, it's popular, I have to play it. No, you don't. You really don't.
Right.
Just play whatever the hell you want to play. If you don't enjoy it, just stop. Because I was playing Deathloop for a while, and I had a very high opinion about Deathloop, but I got to the end game part of it, and I'm just like, I'm over it. don't want to plat this. I'm over it. It's just this. It's not. I'm over it. So I put it away. I'm not gonna plat it, and I might regret it down the line because I love to try to plat everything. I know I could plat it. It's just I don't want to, and I'm trying to force myself to stop playing stuff that I really just don't want. I don't want to play, where I'm playing it just for the popular. Like that's with like Cyberpunk 2077. Like it's something that I don't necessarily want to play this, but maybe I will eventually because I like to play everything. But you don't have to play everything. That's a big thing,
Right.
and I think that's an important point for gamers nowadays. Is just you don't have to play every game that's out. You don't have to do the like Kingdom Hearts 3 when Critical Mode came out. A lot of like diehard fans were like, "Oh, I love this. This is exactly how it's supposed to be." And there were some people who were like, "Oh, this is too hard. This is too hard." But it's fine. Then just you don't have to play it that way, Because I got into Critical Mode and I was very much like, "This is awesome. I love this." I am a huge fan. I love this. This is the intended way you're supposed to play Kingdom Hearts 3. And some people were like, "No, it's like our friend Preston will probably be like, no, this is too much." And I'm just like,
Right.
all right. And I know you struggled at the very end of your Critical Mode run. And I got to say this too, because this is something that really just grinds my gears and it really upsets me. I hate that they gatekeeped the Oblivion Keyblade behind Critical Mode. I think that was just a poor decision.
Yeah, I'm still mad about that.
Like, I get it, but I think that was just a poor decision because that's iconic,
Right.
That's iconic. That's a because Oathkeeper was just like, oh, get all like the lucky emblems or get all whatever it was, get all I think it was the lucky emblems or the treasure chests. If you got all the collectibles for a certain collectible, you got the Oathkeeper, which also like I'm like, cool, that's a good way to do it, but you want Oblivion, you better be in on Critical Mode then. It's just like, damn.
Yeah, like
Dang.
for me, I saw that and it was just like, okay, there's a good chance unless I like really just like
You got close though.
And just push through this, and it's
you got to the very end and you didn't really struggle that much. I don't think I think it's the right kind of challenge because like I'll put this into perspective too with this is Kingdom Hearts 3 on Proud Mode. I played the entire thing, got the platinum, got all the collectibles, secret bosses, secret everything. I did 100% everything in the game. I did not die once on Proud Mode. Put that into perspective, people. Like, it was that easy. And they did that on purpose. And then they said, all right, Critical Mode, we're going to make you suffer. And they made us suffer, I like doing it. I started a playthrough on stream on Twitch where I did, I tried to do level 1 Kingdom Hearts 3 on Critical Mode. And I was like, I'm not feeling this one. Because I was trying to recreate that nostalgic run because Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix level 1 Kingdom Key only run is my favorite playthrough of a Kingdom Hearts game ever. Because I learned so much more about the game. I learned so much more about myself and what I'm capable of. And that really pushed me to try to do harder things. But with Kingdom Hearts 3 level 1, I just didn't click with me for some reason. Which is kind of a big deal, honestly, because it's Kingdom Hearts, right? But I think, like, yeah, I hate, that's another thing where I just hate that it got gated behind Critical Mode, because that sucks. Because there are some people who are like, oh, I just want to play with the Keyblade, And the Keyblade's fun to use. It's insane, and it's nostalgic. But, I guess it is what it is, And then there's a lot of people out there, like KH13 did a poll recently. And the poll was, what difficulty did you beat the secret boss on? If you don't know who it is, I mean, it's been out for a while. I'm sure you know who it is. It's Yuzora.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, a lot of people were very much in the mindset of, like, it's just crazy that was even a thing, Like, does it matter what difficulty you beat it on? I submitted my poll because I did on Critical Mode. And he kicked my ass, and I was very proud of that. But at the same time, it just doesn't matter, It doesn't matter. I think the only thing that matters is that you just beat him. Because you actually have to beat him for the story. There's an actual story reason why you have to beat him. And there's 2 different endings, actually. So if you lose, the very first time you lose him, you get a cutscene, which is the bad ending. And then you get, when you beat him, you get a whole different cutscene, which is like the canon ending, the good ending. And I just think it's insane that people like, oh, you didn't beat on critical, haha, you suck. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. You know, I do it because I love the challenge and I know I can do it and I can force myself to do it because I find it fun, you know, to problem solve. Because when I beat Yuzora, I screamed. And I was so just like, oh my god, thank god I finally did it. And was so proud of myself getting past off the bat. But like, if other people did it on like beginner mode, okay, cool, you did it, awesome. Like you took the time to do that, you know. And even like the data battles too, because I don't know if you even did all the data battles. Did you?
No.
For Remind, yeah, that's another thing where people are like, oh, I did on critical, like, cool, man. So did I. I don't care. That dude did it on beginner mode and he beat him. Good for him. Who the hell cares? You know, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, you know. There are some people who love the challenge, and if you just don't want to do it, then just don't do it, you know. Play the stuff you want to play the games how you want to play them, you know. And I think as like a community, that's where we suffer a lot, where, you know, oh, if you didn't do it on this difficulty, you're trash. And it's like, am I? Right. Like, I'm just trying to enjoy the game. It's also like a very competitive thing, you know, and I'm not into competitive gaming that much. I think it's like an important thing because it adds a little more diversity to gaming as a whole. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like, what does it really matter? It doesn't matter, you know. It is what it is. So that's really my take on like that kind of thing. That was a huge tangent we just went on, but so the last one I have that pertains to both of us, and I've been preaching this since this is another Kingdom Hearts thing, so you'll definitely get it. It's Kingdom Hearts 1. And I know you and Preston and Jose have all talked shit about it. I'm putting my foot down because I'm over it. To everyone in the community. The Tarzan world in Kingdom Hearts 1 is great. And everyone just sucks. Sorry. It's great. It's wonderful. You know what world sucks in Kingdom Hearts 1? Is Atlantica. No one, and that's like commonly known, right? But I also would say Atlantica is good in Kingdom Hearts 1 because it changes like your gameplay style and it adds like variety to the game. And I think variety in a video game is good, you know, and it adds a very big variety to it because it completely changes how you fight in the game and you do combat and traverse the world. You know what world I hate is Wonderland, and no one ever talks about it. You want to talk about confusing? That world's confusing. And trying to figure out where you're supposed to go and how to do things. Like, that was the world that was confusing to me growing up. And everyone's like, oh, Tarzan, where'd you go? You just climb the trees. Just explore. Just explore the game, you know? And you can say the same thing about Wonderland. But, like, Wonderland, you have to hit the tree multiple times to change the room. You have to push rocks. You have to feed potions to flowers. And it's just like, how is that not, like, how do you figure that out, you know? Obviously by exploring, like I said. But I think, like, everyone talks shit about the Tarzan world. I love the Tarzan world in Kingdom Hearts 1. It is a fun world to go through, and it's really not confusing. I can see, like, there are some points where it's like, this is confusing, but honestly, it's really not. The Wonderland one is confusing because the rooms get flipped upside down. You have to go to the right room to progress the story, and obviously I play the game 100 times. Like, I played it many, many times. So I know how to play the worlds and how to beat them. But, I mean, like, growing up, I remember, Jesus, I hated the Wonderland. I was like, I don't know what to do. It tells you to go look for the evidence. And it's just like, I don't know where those are at. And you have to find them. And it's just like a struggle. And you don't have to find them. You can just continue the story without them. But obviously, it puts you in, like, a deficit with that. And then there's one where if you collect it, you get the Blizzard spell. And it's like, you get the Blizzard spell ahead of the story. It's like, why wouldn't I want that? Why wouldn't I do that? You know? And it's just like, goddamn. Tarzan World's good. I don't know what to say. Everyone in the Cage community loves to dog on it. I love it. I don't think it's confusing at all. You, Preston, and Jose have gone on record saying this world is doo-doo. I'm not having it. Tarzan is an OP party member, too. That dude's insane. He can cast arrow on you. You don't get arrow until, like, way late in the game. I'm just like, what the hell? You're crazy. All of you, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah, no, you called it. We're on two complete different ends. I like Wonderland and I hate Tarzan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably just because I love Alice in Wonderland, so
Right, yeah.
I think
Then that's
just
the thing,
being
like,
there.
because I would be more of a Tarzan movie, the movie Tarzan. I would like the Tarzan movie more than one Alice in Wonderland. But like, I'm trying to look at this as also like, just like as a video game level.
Right, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Wonderland's a very confusing level just because, like,
On your first playthrough, I would say, like, obviously
yeah, it's like your
playing
first
it multiple
playthrough.
times. Yeah,
Because, yeah, you're constantly going back and forth between, like, different areas and they don't exactly, like, tell you what to do very clearly, so it's like,
which
a
is
lot of
also I'm
times
gonna say which is also true for Tarzan. You know, when you have to go
yeah,
when the Heartless first come appear, you have to save the gorillas, and the gorillas you have to go to like different sections
yeah.
of the world. You know,
Like a
and
lot of it just forces you to explore and
yeah, that's
like
all it
just
is. If you just
yeah,
explore in Tarzan, and I mean, like I said, with Wonderland, you'll go to the same room, but it'll be like flipped upside down, or you'll be against the wall, or you'll be like in a whole different part of that room,
yeah.
and that's where it's like, what the hell? Where am I? What am I
But
supposed to
I
do
think
here? You
that's
know, with
also what
Tarzan,
makes
it's
it so
like,
fun for me is because it's like you're backtracking to all like the same different like areas, but they're constantly like changing the way you have to look at it.
right.
So it's just like, oh, okay.
And
It's a bit
Tarzan's the
like,
same way. You backtrack a lot in Tarzan, you know, but with
yeah,
Tarzan, I mean, when you go through the world the one time, you should memorize where everything's at, you know.
yeah,
Obviously, the shortcuts, that I understand that people don't know about, because people complain about the vine swing. I remember as a kid, I never did the vine swing because I just skipped past it because I found a shortcut by just exploring. I'm like, oh, cool. And I always thought that was the way to go. And then people were like, what about the vines? I'm like, the what? The vines. I'm like, what do you mean? And then they would show me, like, I didn't even know about this part. What the heck? And yeah. I knew we were going to be on different spectrums. I know a lot of people in the community are also going to be on different spectrums. But, I mean, I think it's a good world. It's not the best world. I'm not here to preach that. It's not the best world. But it is a world that gets way too much hate. It gets way too much hate, you know. And then you got a world like Hollow Bastion, which is also confusing and has a lot of different shit going on with that, you know. And then
hmm
obviously Atlantica is rough too. You know what too? Freaking Monstro, man. You want to talk about confusing?
God, I
With
hate
all
that
the
one.
portals you have to go through,
Yeah,
that's a mess. That's a hot mess. Is
especially when it all looks the
Monstro?
same.
Yeah, it looks the same. Yeah, and there's so many portals. You'll find like, oh, I'm going to Cave 2, and obviously, like again, if you've played the games multiple times, you know that I know what portals to go into now. I know
Yeah,
what I'm looking for, but
yeah, because like now when I play them, it's just like, oh, okay, go here, go here, go here. It's all like all the memories
this
like
is memory.
instantly come
Yeah,
back, and it's like I know what I'm doing. But yeah, first time around, it was just like,
it's
what
rough.
the hell?
That's the most confusing world on your first playthrough. I would say. I remember getting
Yeah.
stuck in that forever. And then I was stuck on Atlantica for a while too, not because of level design, but because it was just the final boss was difficult for me. It's this
hmm
big ass head of Ursula. It's like I don't know, and she has so many AOE attacks. And growing up, that was hard for me. But
Right.
you know, persevering, and then I'm not saying Tarzan's the best world. I need that to be known. It is not. If you ask me, Hollow Bastion's the best world in that game. If you're asking me, but or maybe Halloween Town, because Halloween Town's fun, you know.
Damn it! I want to play Kingdom Hearts again now.
It's contagious. I started a playthrough on Kingdom Hearts 3, but part of me is like, dude, I really want to do Kingdom Hearts 2 level 1 again, just to
hmm
do it. But because when I streamed Kingdom Hearts 2 level 1 Kingdom Key only run, the point was just to beat the game and just beat the story. Now I want to try and do like the secret bosses, and I want to try and see if I do Sephiroth, and I want to do like the data battles, and I want to maybe not 100% the game because that's just too much, but like that was just a fun way to play that game. It was really challenging, but also just like replaying just the game just to replay it would be fun too. I need to get back onto Dream Drop Distance because that's the only one I have not gotten the platinum trophy for.
Mm.
Just because I don't want to do the Dream Eater stuff. I don't want to do it. The freaking knockoff Pokemon battle thing. I don't want to do.
Finish that one still.
So I want it. A part of me really wants to do more streams of Melody and Memory, but I've already beaten it all. And Melody and Memory is hella fun. That is one of the funner Kingdom Hearts games. Like, just from start to finish as a game, it's the funnest. It's one of the funnest ones. It's up there for me. Close to Chain of Memories, and Chain of Memories is still my favorite, I think. Behind Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, compared to like vanilla Kingdom Hearts, but we'll definitely get into more Kingdom Hearts conversations on the podcast later on. But I mean, that would be like my final. I thought that would be a fun one for the both of us, because I know we will both have something to say about it. Is the freaking Tarzan world in Kingdom Hearts 1, you know? And we'll get more into like the other games for the world too in a different podcast in the future. But for now, that was just an easy like hot take, because I know it's like the point of this was like my main thing was Final Fantasy X and X2 and X2.5 and X3. It's like I need to talk about those. The Oblivion one was just really personal. The Dark Souls 2 one, again, that's like the hottest take. But it's one that like I know it's a hot take. That one's obvious. I want to talk one that's more divisive. And then obviously the Tarzan one was just like, I know we talk about that one a lot, and you guys dogging it all the time. Just like, I'm not having it anymore. I'm putting my freaking foot down. So those are my hot takes. But I know most of this was like for me speaking. So I don't know if you have any other ones that you thought of maybe while we were doing this, but or if you have any other ones that you want to add in. You know?
No, honestly, not really.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'm surprised you didn't talk about the Bat Tank in Arkham Knight, because I feel like you're very much on the spectrum of like I love it, and it's very much that's like the minority.
Hated, yeah.
I thought that would be for sure. I thought for sure you're going to talk about that freaking Bat Tank, and we're going to have a debate about that. But
I mean, to be honest with that one, I liked the whole like idea of it, because I'm someone who, like, when I get, I don't want to say like the same old stuff. Like when you get something like obviously like Batman and the Batmobile, like it's always like the set like, oh, the Batmobile is like this, souped up like hot rod. Basically, it's this car that pretty much has like a like jet engine on it. Like I'm the kind of person where if someone like goes like, yeah, but what about this? Like I'm the person that's like, go on. Like I like seeing like different takes on stuff, and like kind of like all like the what ifs kind of thing. So when they came up with like we have the Batmobile, but now it doubles as like a freaking tank basically. And it's like, yeah, I'm cool for that. And of course, like the story of like where the Arkham games were going and all that, to me it made sense, because in at least Arkham Knight, like Batman has literally lost Gotham at this point. Like he's pretty much like fighting to save it, and he needs to bring in like everything he theoretically could, because Arkham Knight literally has an army behind him. So
the thing, I think the Bat Tank's awesome. I think it was needed. Yeah, I just think it's overused. It's way overused. That's the biggest thing. It's just it's overused.
Honestly, the biggest thing, like my biggest dislike about the Batmobile, or not the Batmobile, the Bat Tank, is that it robbed us of another Deathstroke fight. Like as soon as like I went through that side mission just to find out like the final boss was Deathstroke, and it's like, oh, we're gonna fight in tanks, and it's like, no, you're not. Get your ass out of that. Let's go
get out here.
like let's go hand to hand. Like fucking give me back the Arkham Origins fight. Like,
and then you have like the Riddler races, of course, and obviously that was a huge thing.
Fun just because it's okay, you know what? Let me like go actually race the Batmobile, see if I can handle this thing.
Right. I think I just think it's overused. That's my thing. Yeah. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's a perfect addition to that game. I think, because again, I like variety. Like when I look at the Atlantica world and Kingdom Hearts, and both Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, I like when games change up the gameplay and have variety to it, you know? And I think that's great. And I think the Batmobile does that. I just think it's just overused. I don't want to spend hours in a wave battle fighting these things, you know? And
Right.
I'm done. I'm over it, you know? But someone did, I don't know if you, I'm sure you did saw, but someone, like, there's one encounter with the Bat Tank where an Arkham Knight is staying on top of a building and you can shoot him with it and it like gives you like an actual thing. And I was like, that's insane. I don't know what the encounter is. You would probably know more than I would. But yeah, he's standing on top of a building and yeah, if you shoot him with the Bat Tank, it hits him and I think something happens. I was like, that's
Well,
insane. You should look
gotta
that up.
check that out. I'm not sure if I even knew about that.
It this is like a recent thing. This just came out. It's one of those things where like, oh, I look what I found out about this game that came out like 7 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well, it's
that's
like with the Arkham games, there's been a lot of like little details where people
yeah,
like realize like
over
years
the
later was
years.
like, oh, that's actually there. Because
Yeah.
like in Arkham City, like something that I didn't find out until like 3 or 4 years after release is in the very beginning when you're getting kind of like ferreted through that little like prisoner like transport thing. Or
Yeah.
like when you're first going through the gates of Arkham City, if you look up, like Azrael's standing there on a building, like watching you come in, and
Yeah,
then
right, right.
later on, he literally remarks like, "Oh, I've been watching you this whole time." And like when all that finally came out, I
Hella
was just
cool.
like, "Oh
Hella
wow, there's a
cool.
lot of like little hidden details in these games.
Yeah.
Like I need to go like explore more. Like if you go to Calendar Man." Like that was another cool one. Is you go to Calendar Man, like he actually remarks like, oh, it's this day, and then like if you
On
go to him on
holidays.
like actual Halloweens, he'll be like, oh, it's Christmas or it's Halloween or
Yeah.
whatever.
Which is a trophy for Arkham Asylum
Yeah,
that you can exploit by just changing the date on your PlayStation and it counts.
right.
So that's how I got,
But
because I was not going to wait all year to go back to do that. I'm not
'cause,
doing
yeah,
that.
you have to
But
do
yeah, no,
like
that's a cool thing though. It really is.
I
Because,
think it's
like,
like five
you
or
know,
seven holidays you have to do or something
yeah,
like
throughout the
that.
entire year. I mean, it's insane, but no, really cool. I mean, that's my only thing. It's just overused. I think if they cut out some of the stuff, it's like, okay. Because, like, the point of playing a Batman is you want to play Batman. You don't want to play the freaking tank. It's not World of Tanks or whatever that game's called.
Yeah, but I mean, it's part of his like technology prowess and
It
like what
is,
he
yeah.
employs, and I mean that's as much Batman as Batman.
Oh, yeah, no,
So,
no. I think it's great. Like I said,
but
I
yeah,
think
no,
it
it's
the
more like
inclusion is
actually
great.
like being in the shoes, like on the ground, like fighting and all that.
Yeah, I think. Well, that's just because that's what Asylum and City were all about. We're just about,
Right.
you know, and the thing too is like it's weird. They gave us the Batmobile to drive around, and then they give you the Super Glide mechanic, and obviously the Super Glide is like go over the city. But like if you have the option to Super Glide everywhere, I'd rather just do that, because when you're on the
Yeah.
car, you're only on the ground. So that's why I'm like, they just made weird decisions. And it's just, but I feel like if they got rid of the Super Glide from a city, it's like, why'd you get rid of that? That was such a cool, and it's a big ass
Right.
city. It's a point. But definitely
I think they
interesting
even expanded
decisions.
on it in Arkham Knight because they did thing where you can literally like basically like eject a seat out of the Batmobile into the glide,
Right.
and you're already
Yep.
like 40 feet up into the air.
Going super speed, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and use a grappling hook to continue your speed, and I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
and like you
insane.
like break like the laws of physics with Batman,
Right.
so it's fun.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. But I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more I mean, I try to keep this one very personal, like ones I actually genuinely cared about. Dark
Hmm.
Souls 2, um the Kingdom Hearts one was really just for us. Like I could care less. Like if we actually sat down and went through the worlds, like Monster would be the one that's more confusing, but no one talks shit about it. Like that would be my thing, of course. And then obviously Dark Souls 2, that's another very personal one. Final Fantasy 10 is the most personal one because I think about that often. I listen to video essays about it and I'm just like, I don't no, stop. And there are some people who are like, you know what? No, we need to get rid of this. I wish this wasn't a thing. I'm like, thank you. Thank God someone's out there. People are out there that agree. And I'm sure there's a lot more, like obviously with like let's say like the Avengers Marvel game, a lot of controversy there. Only having Spider-Man on PlayStation from
Yeah.
the Marvel game, that's a big one. I think that there's a lot out there, but what?
Yeah, I still
So,
have that.
um, But yeah, I mean, if you didn't have any other ones, then I think we're all set. I think, we had a good show or a
Yeah, I think
good,
for me.
episode regarding this, especially with Cyberpunk. I think that was the bulk of it mostly. But I
Yeah,
think
that was.
I completely agree, though, that, yeah, we give it a second chance. Give it a second chance. I agree with that. Will I personally do it? Not for a while, but it's possible.
Yeah, I think it was just Cyberpunk 1 like really held on to me. I think just cuz like I'm playing it like it's just a
And having
relevant
fun.
thing to me
Yeah.
right now just cuz I'm playing it and it's just something that I've been thinking on this week and then like how I said in our little pre-show was we set the topic and then next thing I knew it was just oh crap it's Friday. I got to like start getting stuff
Right.
together. And like with the whole Batmobile thing that was pretty much a big thing what 7 8 years ago now and I mean
Yeah.
obviously it still pops up every now and then but
Right. Oh, yeah, it's not that much of an issue. I mean,
yeah
like even with Tarzan, no one really talks about it anymore. Like the Tarzan
yeah
world, but it's still like relevant for me because I have to listen to you three gumbos freaking talk all your ish about it. I'm not having it anymore. Gotta defend my boy Tarzan. Um, but well, if that's the case, then thank you all so much for joining us today for this podcast. Do you guys have a hot take or a controversial gaming opinion that you have? If you agree with us, if you don't agree with us, don't roast us too hard. But give us a comment down there and tell us what you think. And then obviously like or dislike, subscribe, unsubscribe, whatever. Do whatever you want. We're just here to have fun, really. All that. That's all it is. So thank you so much for joining us today again. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.
all right see you guys